a partially valid, a half-truth, if you will, is being pushed.
I can't wait to find out all sorts of new and exciting things I didn't know about myself.
So you just hate Jews, bro?
Yeah, you're just an anti-Semite. Congratulations.
You're
Go
not
join.
What would you say?
Exactly.
Well, that's different. It's not different. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's
that just we are the only society on earth who has the obligation to self-destruct, to blame ourselves for every problem that has ever existed, and we just think of ourselves as the worst human beings who are responsible for every bad.
How many Muslims are trying to stop Boko Haram? How many Muslims were confronting ISIS? How many Muslims, the extremists always win. So the peaceful majority, which I know many, they're irrelevant.
Good morning, Misfits. All right, how we doing? It's Wednesday. It's Woke Wednesday, but we're going to be talking about what the woke movement really did. Okay, they killed Charlie Kirk. Woke led to the death of Charlie Kirk. Right, this ideology, and not if you guys are regulars here, you already know what my definition of woke is. Well, it is the definition, by the way. It's not my definition. Okay, it's common sense. In fact, what we'll do is just gonna jump over real quick to this explanation. I just posted it recently that I gave to Paramount Tactical, but we'll jump into that in a second. But the ideology that we are seeing, that is, it's rising on the right as well, of an oppressed people who are awake to their oppressor, and they must do something about it, right? That led to the death of Charlie Kirk. It was not the Jews. It was not Israel. It was not a bee cult. It was not Egyptian planes. It was woke ideology, right? Because Tyler Robinson believed that Charlie Kirk needed to be stopped. That's what happened. There is no change my mind or prove me wrong or whatever. It's what happened. You don't look, and this is not me being ignorant. It's just true. Right? Like, oh, yeah, well, you just trust the government. No. I trust my eyes. I trust my own research. Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk because of woke ideology. Let me take a little detour here. This wasn't planned, but I'm sure I'll be able to find it pretty quick because it was very recent. But I posted the explanation that I gave to Paramount Tactical because one of my followers was like, this was on Instagram. They're like, I've seen you say woke right, and can you please explain it? So I went and found this clip which was pretty recent, from the episode I did with Paramount Tactical, and I think I explained it very well. And I'm sure that here it is. So just to preface it, you're going to hear me say this. It's going to sound repetitive, right? Woke just means awake, okay? It means it started in the 1920s, 30s. It was with the black community who was awake to the oppressor, and they actually had one, okay? So, like, the original woke movement had a good point, okay? The original woke movement was saying, hey, we're being oppressed here and we got to do something about it. Like get free from, the Jim Crow, the slave, everything. Okay. The current woke movement is not oppressed. That's the problem. They stole it from a movement that was very valid. Okay. So here's my post. One of my followers asked me if I could explain what woke right means, and the explanation I gave Paramount Tactical is probably the simplest way to define it. The woke movement started in the 1920s. I said the 90s. I've said the 90s a few times because it was readopted again, kind of in a valid way by the black community in the 90s. But if we're really going back to its origination, you can look this up. It was like the 1920s, stay woke, and reemerged in the 1930s, picked up again over the course of, you know, the history. It really was just the black community saying we are awake, we are woke to the oppressor, and they did have one most of the time, right? And then, you know, the new movement that's been adopted. Let me just finish. I'm going to go on a rant. I'm going to basically be repeating myself. You could say this movement was pretty valid. It was then adopted in the early 2000s, turned into a movement about being awake to the oppression of capitalism, racism, sexism, basically everything that triggers the left. Everything is oppressing the left, okay? Most of these people are not oppressed. They're virtue signaling. They have a victim mentality. They don't want equality like the original woke movement, right? We want to be treated as equals. Equality is a perfectly reasonable ask. Right. In fact, Western values state that we should be equal because Western values are based on Judeo-Christian ethics, where all men are created equal under God. Our Constitution is inspired by the 10 Commandments, the Judeo-Christian, right? Old Testament, right? And the equality there's nothing wrong with equality. Equity, however, big problem with that, right? That means take from one, give to another. Now you're equal. It doesn't work like that. Diversity, inclusion, fundamentally changing America into an authoritarian socialist nation is the goal. Recently, some on the right have started the Noticer movement. These are the Nick Fuentes followers, the Groypers, okay? That's a synonym for woke. I don't know if anybody has picked up on that. Right? But when they say we're noticers, we're noticing, we're asking questions, we're just asking questions, we're noticing, we're awake, we're woke. It's the same thing. It's a synonym. They're stealing it. The left stole it from the black community. The right stole it from the left. It's the same thing. It's a woke ideology. It's an awake ideology. Right? So the end goal is always the same for the new woke ideology, right? They want authoritarianism. They want the government to fix their problem. They want you on the oppressor. If you're white, if you're cis white male, if you're conservative, if you're anything, right, on the left, they want the government to take you down. Works the same way on the woke right. They want the government to take you down. They want authoritarian rule. They really do. They want to make all abortion, like on the right. They want all abortion illegal. They want overreach. They want overstep. They want totalitarianism. And I've said this before. Right-wing authoritarianism is still authoritarianism, right? You got Bukele doing a lot of stuff that people like, right? And everyone thinks that that's great. And if Bukele really is an altruistic person who's really doing it for the best interest of the people, great, right? But what happens if he decides not to be righteous? What happens if he decides that he can now be authoritarian to anybody he doesn't like instead of the people who really are a threat? That's a problem, right? So that's why in America, we have for the people, by the people, limited government. We don't want a government that has so much control over those they disagree with. We want them to be limited. Let me give you my this video, even though I pretty much am going to be repeating myself because I should have just played it first. But anyway, whatever. I don't care. I like hearing myself talk too. I'm a narcissist, whatever. Basically, woke means awake, okay? And it was a movement that was started in like the 90s by the black community who were 20s. Awake to the oppressor of the white man, right? And it was adopted by the woke left, right? And the woke left is an identitarian movement whose oppressor is cis white males, capitalism, and, you know, general just, you know, conservatism.
Yep.
So their
values.
Yeah, so their solution to that problem. Now remember, woke, awake, identitarian, oppressed people, solution, for the left is socialism, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, that's woke left in a nutshell. What is the woke right? The woke right is an identitarian movement of people who think that their oppressor are globalists and Jews, and their solution to the problem is nationalism or ultranationalism, right? It's a mirror image of the left. It's horseshoe theory, right? So when you understand what woke right means, which is an ultra-nationalist, identitarian victim group who believes that they're being oppressed, then you actually can deal with it the same way you deal with the left, right? You just basically say, okay, I'm just going to point out how ridiculous you are. But they also don't live in reality because everything's based on emotion and identity, right? Everything's hyperfixated on race. Everything's hyperfixated on like nationality or religion or literally an identity, like immutable characteristics, like
Right.
brown, black, white, et cetera, et cetera. They don't actually give a shit about Americans, right? Like, because there are black people who are American, there are gay people who are American, there are plenty of people who are American. They're just as American as you and me because they're fucking American.
I don't know about that, but yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you get my point, right? These people are not, they're not an America First movement. They're a woke movement, right? So their goal is actually just the same goal as the woke left, to radically and fundamentally change the country to their utopia of ultranationalism, right? Just like the left's goal is to fundamentally change America to their utopia of socialism.
Okay, so do you understand? And I left out the other part of the woke right's goal. It's not just to fundamentally change the country into an ultra-nationalist state. They claim they want a Christian theocracy. Okay, and again, this sounds good. It's like you got somebody in the chat. Bukele's a great president. I get what you're saying, right? I get what you're saying. But when absolute power corrupts, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and the founding fathers and the framers of this country understood that. They understood that you don't, even if you have the best of intentions, with the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You don't give power. You don't centralize power, right? And then what happens when somebody else goes, all right, well, now it's my turn. You always try to give power to the people, and you have it their way, because it's the same reason why we have a jury judging people in our judicial system, right? Because you can have one corrupt judge, but if you put 12 people on a jury, they get it right more often than not, right? It's not perfect process. It's just a better process. So we understand what woke is now. We understand what woke right is now, right? And let's get to the ideology that killed Charlie Kirk, okay? The ideology that killed Charlie Kirk was he was a Nazi, right? Like, we got to take out the Nazi. Charlie was not a Nazi, right? He's not a Nazi at all. He was a free speech. You know what he really was? He was a civil rights leader. He was a civil rights advocate, right? Who talked to people he disagreed with. I mean, I guess we're doing the theme story first. I'm already on a roll. We might as well. We'll get to the news later. We'll bounce back and forth. We'll get through this point, then we'll do the news, the daily breakdown, and then we'll jump back into this. But Charlie Kirk was a civil rights leader. He was fighting for your rights to be a Christian, fighting for your rights to be an American, fighting for your rights to be able to voice your opinion. And he sat down and he had conversations. But the woke movement, right? They don't want to have conversations. They want some radical and fundamental change. And Tyler Robinson believed that, so he killed him. point of the story is woke will lead to violence. It always does. Okay. Ultra nationalism, socialism. It's really it's two sides of the extremes, right? Nationalism in theory is great, right? Loving your country, being a nationalist, perfectly fine. Charlie was a nationalist. I'm a nationalist, right? If you really think about it, right? I like to call myself a patriot over a nationalist, right? I'll explain the difference between the two because people conflate these all the time. A patriot is somebody who loves their country, vehemently defends it for all of its best interests, right? Like whatever is good for your country, you're on board with. That's a patriot. A patriot is somebody who wants the thriving of their own nation, America first, the real America first, not the hijacked movement. Okay, that's what a patriot is. A nationalist, and you can look this up, right, is a person who wants what's best for their country, often at the expense or detriment of other countries, right? Like they don't care about if they want their country to be more important than other countries, which sounds great, right? But to the detriment of other countries, it's not a factor, right? Which leads to, let's say allyship or interventionism is good for America, right? Like what we just talked about yesterday. Let's say to intervene in other countries, like to go into Venezuela and take out Maduro, right? And shut off one of the channels that Xi Jinping uses to traffic narcotics into America, killing hundreds of thousands of Americans every year, right? Over 100 a year, hundreds of thousands over the years, maybe millions, who knows, right? They don't want that because they view it as that's not good for America because that helps the people of Venezuela, right? And this is just a misguided principle because they don't have the foresight to see that what it is it's actually good for America to go in and free Cuba, right? And cut off the arm of the communist movement that partners in the Red-Green Alliance with Hezbollah and trains terrorists 90 miles off of the coast of America. They don't think that that's good. Nationalists would be like, no, that's not good because I'm a nationalist, right? It's an America-only position. Right? To go and fight the terrorists in Iran. A nationalist wouldn't want to do that, right? Because it's not our country, it's not our problem. Nationalism and isolationism tend to go hand in hand, right? But patriotism is the understanding that these moves are good for America, and because you're a patriot, you want to do what's best for America, even if it means partnering with Israel, even if it means taking out our enemies overseas. Even if it means being the global hegemon and the leader of the free world, not just the leader of America, but what's in everybody's interest is in our interest because a rising tide raises all ships. That's patriotism. Nationalism as a policy in a country, right? Hitler was a nationalist. He only cared about what was good for Germany, only Germany, right? And when you care only about your country, only about Germany, you don't care what happens to other countries. And when you put the wrong person in power of a nationalist movement, you have a problem. You have Hitler, you have Lenin, you have Pol Pot, you have every person. I bet you Xi Jinping is China first, China only. I bet you Xi Jinping is China only. I bet you he's a nationalist. Right? Patriotism means when the French come to your aid because you have made good friends with them in the American Revolution, you say, thank you.
You don't say, "Get out of here, you stupid French bastard." Like, you understand that there is a difference between being a nationalist and nationalism. There is no difference between being a patriot and patriotism, right? That's the key distinction that people need to understand. And it's not like it's not a bad word to say it. It's just you need to understand the definitions. You need to understand what things mean, because a lot of people conflate things, and it bugs me. Okay. All right, let's move on to the actual daily breakdown. All right, so we got the preview of what we're gonna end the show with, right? But if you've never seen the daily breakdown before, here's what we do every day. Okay, we go on the internet, we type in the word news, right? The Brave browser seems to be working again. Now they're showing us stories. For some reason, Brave is the one I use, because I've used DuckDuckGo, I've used Google, I've used Bing, I've used Yahoo, Google, whatever, all of them. Brave usually seems to be the most mixed between the left and the right. Okay, today it looks like there's more right, but we don't pick. We type it in, we hit send. We break down whatever pops up. So here's the news of the day, according to the Brave browser, right? First, we got New York Times. This story probably won't allow us to read it. Of course not. So we'll read the headline. Florida Democrats win special election in Mar-a-Lago's district. Perfect, because we don't need the headline. I have something for this, okay? Just posted about this. Ron DeSantis... Look, I'm not calling out Ron DeSantis and saying that this is, so bad, but calling balls and strikes here, right? We need to do a better job of holding our leaders accountable and having them do their job of getting out the vote, right? Ron DeSantis, the so-called leader of the Florida Republicans, couldn't be bothered to send out a single post to his millions of followers encouraging them to go out and vote today. True leaders lead from the front always. This is a post from Brendan Leslie. Seems more like a Ron DeSantis hater. I'm not this anti-DeSantis, right? I was very harsh on him because of how he ran his campaign against Trump. But if we're being completely honest, if Ron DeSantis threw out a bunch of posts, he could have maybe prevented this seat here from flipping blue, right? Now, people are like, it's a special election, we're going to get it back in November. That's not the point. The point is the Democrats are turning out in special elections and we're not, because we probably don't know about them, right? We should. And how do we find out about special elections? I don't know. Maybe if I lived in Florida and I was following Ron DeSantis and Ron DeSantis made a post saying, get out and vote today, I probably would go out and vote. We also have, we're going to keep on pushing this to you guys, because I think that this is probably the best tool that we have right now. Right here, ActiveVote. Download this app, ActiveVote. Upcoming elections, they're all right here, right? And you just put in your information in your district, and it'll say on the main page, it's always right here, upcoming elections. This will cover special elections. Look at this is the Libertarian Party ticket. They're telling me about it. I'm not even registered. So while it is your job to know what's going on, it is a good point to bring up that people like Ron DeSantis, all of your governors, right? Look at what Trump does. Trump is always letting you know where the elections are, letting you know who he's endorsing, letting you know the candidates that need. He's constantly reminding you. He's not talking about frickin' bee cults, dude. Trump isn't talking about that. He's talking about the Save America Act. He's talking about how we win. All right? And look, again, this isn't to go hard on DeSantis, but I think DeSantis should have probably made some posts about the special election, right? And simply just saying, oh, we're going to flip it back. That's not the point. Again, we shouldn't have to.
You should not have to flip Mar-a-Lago's district back from a Democrat. It's where Trump, it's where the leader of the Republican Party and president lives. A Democrat just won in Trump's district. That should have never happened. Stop blaming special elections, and we need these things should not. There's no excuse. The same thing that happened in the Texas special election like a month or two ago, right? People are saying the same thing. They're just being like, "Oh, we'll get it back." No. Shouldn't have to. All right? Make sure you are letting your voice be heard by your leaders and say, "Why didn't I know about this?" That's your job, right? Your job is that Sean Farish says this all the time, right? It's like your job is to tell them what you ordered, how you want your steak cooked, okay? So you order some more, information. Order more information. Say, hey, I want you to remind me when my elections are coming up. You're in the government. I work as a contractor. You are working in the government. Your job is to tell me. Does that make sense to everybody? Good. All right. Let's check out the next story. Trump touts significant Iran presence linked to Strait of Hormuz as deal talks heat up. Okay. The other day, we were talking about this story. So the other day we were talking about how Trump said that the administration is in talks with Iran and they got a deal, and he keeps on saying this, and the IRGC, right, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, they keep saying we're not talking to them, right? But then they also simultaneously say we want to talk to J.D. Vance, kind of signaling that they are talking to them. And my prediction was that they are just lying publicly while talking to the Trump administration and sort of surrendering silently. I think that is probably still the case, because the theories are that Trump is actually talking to the Crown Prince and he's talking to the new leadership that he wants to put in, not talking to the current leadership. But we're going to find out either way once we find out what this quote present is, right? Once we find out what this mysterious gift that Iran gave to him is, we'll know who gave it to him and who had the authority to give it to him. But this story is, Trump says a gift arrived on Tuesday, and it was very significant, with negotiations led by Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance. Okay. He announced that Iran wants to make a deal with the U.S., notifying the country's leadership. Notice what Trump is saying. The country's leadership. I think he's talking to the IRGC. And they're just lying. They're just like, because they can't come out and be like, yeah, we're surrendering, because the Kurds forces and all of the people in the region, they'll rip them apart, right? They can't publicly come out and repeat what Trump is saying. And Trump knows this. He doesn't care. This isn't about posturing. Trump's just getting the deal done. Okay? I think that's what I think. I could be wrong. That's what I think. Okay. They're going to make a deal. They did something on Monday that was amazing. They gave us a president. The president said it was a very big president. It was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. Trump said he could not disclose what the gift was, but he said it was oil and gas related, and it was connected to the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian regime was previously charging some tankers millions of dollars to pass through the global shipping checkpoint, according to the Iran International. Trump added the president was very significant. That meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people. I would say the people who are currently in charge now because he killed everybody that was in charge before. Okay, so he could be talking to a symbolic leader in a chain of command that wants to take over the IRGC, leaving the IRGC in place, similar to how the Maduro regime is still in place, but now there are, you know, for lack of a better word, bitch. Right? So we'll see. I know that the UAE thinks that you should just finish them off, and everybody thinks you should finish them off, but the only way to do that is probably putting boots on the ground. I've always been against boots on the ground. I think you just strike the hell out of them until they cry uncle. I'm also not a military expert. I don't know how this works, so I can't. I'm not a general. This could be the right move. I don't know. I just, in theory, as a general stance, I've always said I don't want boots on the ground. I just don't want American boots on the ground. You can put as many Israelis as you want on the ground. We'll fly over them. We got cover. That doesn't mean that we're not out of harm's way, right? You could still shoot down our planes. You could do, there's a lot, and 13 soldiers have died, and that's terrible, but I think that that's a small amount in the big picture. I'm not minimizing their deaths or their sacrifices at all, but they signed up to do this, and they're paying the ultimate sacrifice because they believe in what the mission is. So again, we got to really look at this like from a nuanced, full picture, instead of the black and white BS that these guys online do, these doomers and black pillars, and they pick a fact and they hammer it. It's like, oh my God, 13 dead soldiers. I understand. It's horrible. What did we get for it, right? Oh my God, higher pricing gas for the past 3 weeks. Okay, I understand. What did we get for it, right? And that question hasn't been answered yet, right? We don't know the answer. I've said that if this all doesn't work out, I'm going to admit that I was wrong. Okay? I can do that. I can admit that. I do it all the time. We'll see. Anyway, so we'll find out what this present is. As soon as we find out what the present is, we're going to find out who sent it and find out if Donald Trump is actually talking to the IRGC or if he's talking to the new leadership that he wants to put in. Either way, we don't know. We don't know anything. All right. So I guess that's that. All right. Next up, if you knew power, you'd stop dishing it out like Halloween candy. I don't know if that was directed at me or not. President Trump voted with a mail-in ballot. It looks horrible because the president always does that. That's look, voting. All right, let's get a sip of coffee before I go on this freaking tangent. All right. I'm gonna need a big one. Okay. We might need to hit the naughty button on this one. All right, because look, here's the deal. Okay. You stupid mother. You always think you have a fucking sorry. You guys always think you have a gotcha. You always think that you got a gotcha. It's like, oh my God, Trump is against mail-in ballots, but he is the mail-in ballot. He's the freaking president, you moron. It's like, do you really think that this is a gotcha? Oh my God, Trump used a mail-in ballot because he travels back and forth all the time between Florida and DC, and he was doing his job and he used a mail-in ballot. He's the most famous person on the planet. Pretty sure that he didn't, let his neighbor fill it out for it. What the heck is wrong with you people? So just stupid, shiny object, frickin' headline chasing morons. Trump is against mail-in voting, but he uses Trump has already said that he's fine with mail-in ballots when it's applicable. One of the ways it's applicable is if you're not in the place where you need to be when you're voting. Oh, Jesus. Like, people just need to, again, I've said this before. I've said this many times, right? You don't have to take my advice. You don't have to do this, okay? I'm not ordering you to do this. However, running headfirst into a wall might fix this problem for you. There must be something up in there that you just need to knock loose, right? You just need to loosen up that tarded, right? Whatever that tarded thing is in there, right? Loosen that up, right? So, I mean, try it if you want. Try it if you want. Just it's a horrible look. I'm sorry if you're a fan. I'm not trying to be, I don't think I called you up by name. I'm not going to. I'm just saying, guys, use your head. Use your head and stop falling for the doomerism, black pill headlines. It's so stupid. We're literally, if you're a fan of Trump and you just said that, you just took the bait. Stop taking the bait, please. All right? Is that fair? Stop taking the bait. Next. All right, somebody, if we have a mod in here, somebody get rid of Pramod Bassnet, just spamming the chat with follow me, please. Get them out of here. Somebody get on that. This is the problem with not running. I'm a host here. I don't have mod capabilities. Maybe they should make me one. Or actually, do I? Let's see. We should. The hosts should have mod capabilities. That would probably help. Anyway, all right. Next up, ADD. We do ADD stuff here. Okay. Next up, a lot of Fox News today. All right. Reporter's Notebook. GOP eyes DHS deal funding ICE probes but not removals as shutdown drags. That was a mouthful of a headline. This cobbled together. Oh, wait. Am I missing something? No, that's how this starts. This is cobbled together talking to senior Senate Republican sources. Okay. Senate Republicans are developing a plan to fund most aspects of DHS, leaving out the controversial programs like ICE operations to end a 5.5-week partial government shutdown. This emerged at the meeting of the White House. However, Fox is told the Senate can start moving on a plan to end the DHS shutdown as early as tonight. If it doesn't have the Save America Act, don't do it. Do not do that. Do not do that. Let's go to it. Let's show you. Let me show you this. Okay. I just typed in to ChatGPT, Grok, and Perplexity, right? Which party is responsible for the current government shutdown? Perplexity said it's driven largely by Senate Democrats' refusal. Okay. I think this is Grok, who's responsible. The reality is Democrats are blocking funding bills that don't include reforms, and Republicans are refusing to include those reforms. That's kind of both sidesing the issue, and ChatGPT is saying both parties are responsible. If you type into just the internet, actually, let's try it on Brave. See what happens when we type this up. Who is responsible? All right, actually, let's make it more specific. Which party is responsible? Okay, maybe we need more coffee. For the current government, nope. If you can't tell, I am not awake yet. Shut down. All right, that took way too long. I need a new keyboard. This little Apple keyboard. Okay. The 2025-2026 government shutdown. That's telling you about the last one. Was primarily driven by budget increases. Okay, so this one's a Quinnipiac poll. Who's more responsible for the shutdown? Let's see here. 52% of voters think President Trump is using. I wish they would just show you the poll in like a bar chart. Okay, here we go. Congress hit budget. 45% of registered voters think Republicans are more responsible. Okay, see, that's why Democrats did it. Democrats are doing this because they think that they can just blame the party in power, and maybe it's working. But if that's the case, right? If people already think that Republicans are responsible, don't budge. Right? Don't budge. Just go. All right. Fine. We're not moving on this until you pass the SAVE Act. Because if you concede, you prove them right. If you force them to concede, then you look like there was a good reason for why it was your fault. So you don't concede anything now. You can't. Right? This is like negotiating with terrorists. They literally shut down the government. They're blaming you. People are believing them. And now you have to hold your ground. This is the art of war. You don't do that at all. You don't ever shut down. Or sorry, you don't ever concede. Wait, what did that just say? Calling the Democrats bluff. I don't think I actually read this story. Sorry. ADD. All right. Republicans have come to the position the only way out of this cul-de-sac, even if it reflects the Democrats' position. See, this is the problem. You can't do this. Still, Republicans contend they are calling the Democrats bluff. You're not. We're going to move forward and give them what they want, said one Senate Republican. You can't do that. They don't get to shut down the government, cause tens of thousands of people, I think it's tens of thousands, or maybe it's thousands of people to go without pay, right? Blame you, and then you say, you know what, they're right. That's suicidal politically. So no, they shouldn't budge at all. If you're already to blame, might as well see it through. Fox is told that Republicans hope to extract a promise from Senator Mike Lee. This guy's amazing, by the way. To come off the Save America Act and resume the debate after Easter Passover. You shouldn't leave. You should be there this whole time. You should not be the leader Thune should not leave Congress until the Save America Act is passed. He should not negotiate at all with Democrats until the Save America Act is passed. We have the majority. We have the majority, dude. You're acting like you're the minority. You're acting like they have power. They don't. You think Nancy Pelosi would concede? No, she wouldn't. She'd crack the whip. She'd tell everybody, you're not going home until we get what we want. And she wouldn't care. Jeez, dude, do your job. You are the leader. You're getting dog walked by a bunch of people who hate this country, who care more about illegal immigrants and their right to vote, as a ridiculous statement, than you do about the most important piece of legislation in this country's history. They are stealing our republic by letting people illegally vote. Get out of here, dude. Not true. Zach, not true. I have no idea what you're referring to. You can't just say not true in the chat and expect me to know what you're talking about. What's not true? If you disagree with me, you're going to disagree with me. There's going to be people who watch the show that disagree with me. That's going to happen. I need you to be specific and tell me what you're disagreeing with me about. I just said a lot of stuff. All right. Next up, again, Fox News. NATO scrambles jets as Russia fires nearly 400 drones toward Ukraine, signaling new spring offensive. I don't care about this war anymore. It's just such a stupid, unnecessary war. Like, there are necessary wars. There are necessary operations. Like, I mean, but this war is just so unnecessary. It's two countries who are pretty much very similar in ideology, in demographics. One of them's fighting to keep power because if he held an election right now, he'd lose. Zelensky. All right. One of them's fighting to expand power because he's an authoritarian dictator. Right. They're fighting their wars for their reason. The people don't want this on either side. I don't think Russians don't really hate Ukrainians, and Ukrainians don't really hate Russians. Ideologically, this war makes no sense. Ideologically, this war makes absolutely zero sense. There's a reason to fight radical Islam. There's a reason for a war. All right? This is not a war that I can see a good reason for. So crazy. And maybe that's like, you know, just really simplifying it, and maybe you're going to tell me, no, there is a good reason. I don't see it. That's just me. I don't see it. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I don't see it. I'm not even going to cover the story. It's pretty much just more people dying unnecessarily. I'm not pro-war, right? When war is a good idea, I will support it. When it's a bad idea, I will not. I don't hardline on anything. Like, I try not to anyway. Right? I hardline on a few things, right? First Amendment, Second Amendment, you know, like Western values, Western civilization, you know, the Constitution. Hardliner on all of those things. All the other nuanced shit, sorry. I can move. All right. Oh, this one's good. We'll end this one before we get to the final push on that featured story or featured theme, whatever. We talked about this yesterday. All right. SCOTUS conservatives are signal readiness on curbing late arriving mail-in ballots. A ruling from the High Court is expected by June. Now, the question is, June, July, August, September, October, November. That's 5 months. Yeah, that's 5 months ahead of Election Day. I think that means if this goes through, Democrats are fucked. Ooh, let's get to it. The Supreme Court on Monday offered sharp ideological differences in considering a Mississippi election law that allows for the counting of mail-in ballots received after Election Day, a high-stakes court fight that could have significant implications for the November midterm elections, determining control of the new Congress. Justices heard roughly 2 hours of oral arguments in the case, Watson versus Republican National Committee, centered on a 2024 lawsuit brought against Mississippi state law that allows for the counting of mail-in ballots received up to 5 days after the election, so long as they are postmarked by or before Election Day. Mississippi is one of 14 states, as well as the District of Columbia and 3 U.S. territories that currently allow for the counting of late arriving mail-in ballots, so long as the ballots are postmarked before Election Day. So let's do the math here. 14 states, 15 with the District of Columbia, 16, 17, 18 when you add in U.S. territories. That's 18 elections that this would apply to, right? That's a big chunk. The High Court's review of the case comes as President Donald Trump is focused on mail-in voting. And again, oh my God, Trump mailed in his ballot. He's the president. They always do that. Stop it. Stop it right now. Knock it off. All right? Knock it off. Donald Trump did not say we should make every single instance of mail-in voting illegal. Okay? It's not hypocritical. Stop it. By the way, guys, I remembered 50 minutes in. Please like this video, like this live stream, share this out. I don't care if you share it. Like it. All right? Like it. Do it right now. I'm not talking. You know what? I'm not gonna continue until you do. Go ahead. Right there. Right there. Under here. Hit thumbs up. Thumbs up right now. Do it right now. Like it. Like it. All right. I felt people like it. Let me actually check. We're going to go and check right now. Okay. 235. All right. Refresh. We're going to refresh it. 235. I need 236 before I move forward. Oh, 435. Oh, wait, 435. Apparently it doesn't refresh. All right, I'm going to assume you did. I'm going to assume you did it. All right, I liked it. Delinks. You liked it. We have confirmation. Thank you. That's all I wanted. Okay. Justices on the High Court appeared largely sympathetic to the arguments made by the Trump administration lawyer. Chief Justice Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett could be the deciding votes. Amy Coney Barrett has been squishy, but hopefully she comes through. Here is a quote from Roberts. If election day is the voting and taking, then it has to be that day. This seems like the same story we read before, but either way. All right, 7-minute abs. No, there's 7 minutes left. Active vote again, by the way. Go here. 7-minute abs. All right. Let's watch this video. So the character, Joe Kent, has signaled that he wants to testify on behalf of Tyler Robinson. I probably should. We have 5 minutes left, and we're going to watch a 3-minute video. Let's just watch this video, and then we'll end it with the moderate case.
Some people are so obsessed with these same conspiracies that they concoct for every other thing that ever happens. And so they have to shove it into this one too, because they care more about their conspiracy theories than about the person who murdered my friend facing justice. I am fed up with it.
Yeah, and you should be. And this is, I mean, this is a tough job for us today, to be honest, because this is really personal. I have been open to everything. I think, candidly, I don't get enough credit for even the fact that I shared these group chats in the first place. We shared a lot of information about trans, about Charlie, how Charlie was more concerned about than any other community about the trans coming after him. You want to know the truth? That's actually the truth. I heard over the course of the last 2 years of Charlie's life, probably about 50 references of how he knew that trans Tifa was going to come after him. And he was worried about that. That's the truth. Never mentioned one time about the Jews. Okay? Never once. And here's why it's so frustrating, is because there is going to be even more evidence that is presented to the public in May at the evidentiary hearing, okay? And it's a mountain of evidence, some of which has been made public, some of which has not been made public yet. And the prosecution is going to lay out its case against Tyler Robinson. And I'm told it's a whopper. I'm told they've got this guy dead to rights. And meanwhile, you have government officials that are now saying on the record to journalists they are willing to testify on behalf of the defense to get, ostensibly, to get Tyler Robinson off the hook for something that he did. And so the level of betrayal that I currently feel is dramatic and extreme. The level of just frustration, the idiocy that is on full display, we have to call it out, because if this ends up screwing up the jury pool, if this ends up in some ways getting a hung jury, getting this case thrown out, or even just getting the death penalty off the case, off the potential list of consequences here, I'm not going to be happy with that. I'm telling you that as somebody who was open to all different options, I didn't care where the truth led. this is where the truth led. This is it. And for any fair-minded person, this is crackpot conspiracy garbage brain rot stuff.
All right. So, yeah, Joe Kent is telling journalists that he wants to testify on Tyler Robinson's behalf. Look, here's the deal. I only got a few minutes left, so let me just explain this one more time. Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk, okay? Tyler Robinson was filmed on the roof running away from the scene after he shot Charlie Kirk. The DNA of Tyler Robinson was found on the rifle. His grandfather gave him that rifle. The cartridge was the same as the one in Charlie Kirk's neck, okay? The round. He confessed to his parents. He confessed to his group chat. He confessed to his tranny boyfriend. Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk, okay? Period. Full stop. End of story. Okay. Yes, you're innocent until proven guilty. So this is just my opinion, but Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. Okay. Anybody suggesting anything otherwise is attempting to try and save Tyler Robinson. Okay. Why would anyone do that? Well, if you're Joe Kent, you'd do it for attention. That's probably it. And I just want to end really quick with this, right? This kid, I call him a kid because he is. Right. I had him on the show. He's part of the montage that you see every day, the moderate case. He's first thing I ever said to him was, "You're the next Charlie Kirk." I highly recommend you go give him a follow. It is the moderate case on X. It is the moderate case on Instagram. You can also, by the way, go follow me. My Beacons link is in the bottom right hand side of the screen. But he's going to be picking up the mic at the University of South Carolina at Columbia. Davis Field, what's today, Wednesday? Thursday? That looks like it's Friday at 11 a.m. If you're in the area, go support him. And yeah, I'm just really proud of him. He's a good kid. So I just wanted to say that. That's all. Anyway, let's see here. Let me get back to it. Tyler Robinson did it. Changed my mind. Sean Farish is coming up with Ungoverned. Let's get the shout outs for the chat here. All right, let's see here. Badass Dude, Alice, Bad Moon, Bad Moon's here. Fun Mon, Just Insane, Chris Cap, Kit Kat Mar, JJNSAX, Lug Nuts, Winky Winky Nod Nod, Deb Pollen 2020, Texas 290, Stubbs McGroin. Oh, that sounds painful. Kathy Ratcliffe, Matt Gleam, Sherry 2032, Sundancer 17, and there it is, 9 a.m. Everybody, I will see you tomorrow for 2A Thursday. Enjoy Ungoverned with the great Sean Farish. See you later.
A partially valid half-truth, if you will, is being pushed.
I can't wait to find out all sorts of new and exciting things I didn't know about myself.
So you just hate Jews, bro?
Yeah, you're just an anti-Semite. Congratulations.
You're
Go
not
join.
What would you say?
Exactly.
Well, that's different. It's not different. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
that just we are the only society on Earth who has the obligation to self-destruct, to blame ourselves for every problem that has ever existed, and we just think of ourselves as the worst human beings who are responsible for every bad.
How many Muslims are trying to stop Boko Haram? How many Muslims were confronting ISIS? How many Muslims, the extremists always win. So the peaceful majority, which I know